All right. So,
Mm.
Batman. I love Batman, and we've been talking about Batman for quite a while. Are you ready to talk about more Batman?
Yeah, I'm curious about the strange secret of Bruce Wayne. I wonder what that could be. I wonder if it has something to do with Batman.
So the strange secret of Bruce Wayne. Uh, so, so yeah, I'm just looking at the synopsis because I forget the setup for this in particular, but, um,
Mm.
yeah, Bruce and Alfred go to a resort after something strange is happening there. Someone gets blackmailed by the guy running it, apparently, and it
Yeah,
turns
seems that
out
way.
it's it's Doctor Strange. It's
Yeah,
it's the famous Marvel character. What is Hugo Strange?
yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah,
No.
yes, absolutely. So I think it doesn't even set up why. It just suddenly cuts to Bruce Wayne in like it's supposed to be like a Springs resort. It's supposed to be relaxing,
Yeah,
but he's sitting in like
yeah,
a
free
chair.
vacation.
Yeah, free vacation. He's sitting in a chair, and he's hooked up to this machine, and he's just like being basically like interviewed or like interrogated by Strange. He's
Yeah,
just like,
it doesn't look too relaxing.
yeah, he's just like, what do you fear? And he's like freaking out because he's having all these visions of, and his dead parents and all that jazz.
Yeah,
And it's like being projected onto a screen, and it's obvious that Strange is recording what's going on, like he can actually see it, and
yeah. It's a dream machine. You can see into your dreams and you can
yeah,
record them.
and he's uh, looking for things to blackmail, and he finds out, oh, Bruce Wayne's Batman. That's his strange secret.
I wonder if I could use that. I don't know.
I wonder if anybody would like to know that information. So,
Yeah, which kind of gets us to my first critique, because what he chooses to do is you think, well, he's already in the blackmail game. He's going to blackmail Bruce Wayne, right? But no, he decides to auction off the information to supervillains. Strange choice.
okay,
Guess that's why I call him Doctor Strange.
so yeah, Joker, Penguin, and Two-Face are flown out to the resort. I think while Bruce is still there, or at least like he hangs around.
Hmm.
And he's like, all right, so we're going to have an auction to see who gets this information. And all of the villains are like, oh, I know, we'll pool all our money together so that we could buy it together. And I'm like, that is not how an auction works. That doesn't make
But
any
but they got.
sense.
I don't know what's wrong with that. They got it, didn't they?
But
They outbid.
who are they outbidding?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Off some guy on the telephone. Like some remote person.
That's why
I
it's
don't.
it is so tended strange the way that this plot is set up, because like they just sort of do that, and it feels like they just don't understand what that means. It's almost like, oh, we can't do blackmail because like kids won't understand it, but the Two-Face episode, like,
Yeah.
that was literally this. What they did was he was being
No, I
blackmailed.
don't think it'd been the kids. I mean,
Jesus.
for one thing, having an auction in the first place is strange. I don't know why it just doesn't blackmail, but then also, yeah, they pooling their money together don't make a lick of sense.
No, and while that's going on, Bruce Wayne he like sneaks in and uses the machine again, and he like creates a he creates a new vision on like a new recording
Hmm.
basically, and then he's got it on the tape, and then he gets captured. Like him and Alfred both get captured, and then when the supervillains buy the tape, they play it right then and there, and it shows your recording of Strange saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna fool these villains," blah blah blah, and it's like, "Oh, that's what Bruce recorded." He imagined all of that to make it, make all the villains go like, "Ah, fuck, we've been had. That shit for brains."
Hello, miscreants. We've been had.
But then it's like,
penguin urchin.
How did that Bruce recorded get into Hugo's hands? Like,
he maybe just swapped the labels. I don't know where he was keeping the tape.
That's the thing. He would have the tape on him unless he's really stupid. So when Bruce recorded something, he had a different tape on him. Then like guards capture him, and then suddenly the new tape is the one that Strange has. So either he was keeping the tape in that room, and they didn't like fully explain that, or they got the tape swapped out off screen. Like, either way, It is not properly explained, and it confused the shit out of me. Well, it didn't confuse me.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's not even the end of it. Oh my god. So...
Oh no, that's not even the convoluted bit. That's not even the bit I referred to years ago.
No, but it is how fumbled this is up until its very, very dumb conclusion. So... they somehow, like, they're on a plane and they're trying to fly off, and Chase is after them, and then it culminates with the plane coming down, and then, they got them, and then Strange is there, and he's like, "I'll just say it out loud. Everyone should know that Bruce Wayne is actually Batman. That man right there is Bruce Wayne." And the villains are there, and they're like, "What?" And then Bruce Wayne walks up, and he's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And, next to Batman. And he's just like, "What? But Bruce Wayne is Batman, I thought." And it's like, yeah. And then the reveal is that Bruce Wayne takes off his face and reveals it's actually Robin in a Bruce Wayne costume with, like, stilts.
Yeah. Very small correction, doesn't alter what you just said, but it's actually when they're escaping, he just goes, all right, Bruce Wayne is Batman. And they don't believe him because I love this bit. Two-Face just goes, like, "I know Bruce Wayne. If he's Batman, then I'm the King of England." So that's just a great bit because he does say it, but he happens to do it with one person who personally knows him. Just like, no, he isn't. Shut up.
So,
but yeah, the convoluted bit where, because I've referenced this long before we ever started watching these. Why is Dick dressed as Bruce and Bruce not dressed as Batman? Like, just that, wouldn't it be a lot easier for Dick to just put on the Batsuit? I mean, is it too sacred? Like, is there like a law against? Did DC not allow other characters to wear the Batsuit until Terry McGinnis? I don't know. Is there a reason for that? Because the idea of just imitating a human man just seems a hell of a lot more difficult than, just putting on the Batsuit. And they said, "Oh, it's not tall enough." But yeah, but that's going to be an issue regardless. And he has these leg extenders, so.
Well, I guess if he has to dress as...
weird.
The one thing I'll give him is, like, if he has to dress as Batman with these, like, legs and everything, he's probably not going to be very effective at being Batman, but that's...
I guess, but it's still...
Like, they could have done something, like, after they've been captured, but before, confronting them. Like, let's do a quick swap or something. Because they had the time to put together a Bruce suit. Like, I think...
That's what bothers me. I mean, again, I know it's a cartoon, but, like... Come on.
Yeah, no, it feels, it's like, because of everything that leads up to that, it's just like a dumb
You have to imitate his voice as well.
Right, yeah. No, it feels like a dumb episode. Like, it's just written very poorly, and it just feels like no one really put much thought into it, which is kind of...
It's a good idea. I want to acknowledge as well, I'm pretty sure Hugo Strange actually predates Joker in the comics. He's almost like his original supervillain.
All right.
Just want to acknowledge that quickly.
Yeah.
I think Hugo Strange can be a great character. He was in Arkham City before he got kind of sidelined, but never mind about that. But so this is a fun idea on paper, but it just there's so many weird plot holes and even things that aren't necessarily plot holes, but just things that are just strange, like the bat suit thing. That's not necessarily a plot hole, but you also just like, well, but why? It's just very convoluted in many ways. It's just a shame. I will say the one highlight is the villains banter with one another, but there's later episodes that do this that do that with better stories. So.
Right, yeah. I think one of our notes also says Batman's trying to steal Spider-Man's stick. I think that's in reference to him like using the grappling hooks like he's fucking web slinging all over the place. He's like in an open area. It's like, what is he swinging on? Like, what's going on here? It's just a lot of stuff like that. Just a lot of just not like we have an idea, and the execution was just sort of random. Just didn't feel correct. So
Yeah.
we put that in C because of the positives make it enough to make it a C.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that's whereabouts though.
I'd say low because a lot of that, there's a lot of just bad writing in it, but
I put it there.
sure. Yeah, sure.
Actually, no, I think I prefer it a little bit to Dreams of Dark. There? Oh, sorry, that's snapped. That'll do,
no,
that's
fine,
good enough.
Yeah. God, that tier is full of just whatever.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Let's hope that the next episode's a little better. Heart of Steel, another two-part going on. So
Yeah.
It's always a good. The synopsis is way bigger than our notes for it, but
Yeah, but that happens to be the case when we're just enjoying an episode.
yeah,
We kind of lose ourselves in it, and we also probably don't do as many shit posts as well because we're just watching it and taking it seriously. Interesting opening this episode is there's a briefcase comes to life, mechanical briefcase, and it starts stealing shit. I can't remember the particulars of the plot because it's the problem with these two-parters is that kind of, for the most part, unless they've got a big divide, I can't remember where one starts and the other one ends. So I'm kind of scanning this.
Yeah. I remember just being a lot of setup for like it's you know the whole suitcase heist thing, which takes a long time. I remember, like you see it like travel up the wing thing, and I think it was. It's like traveling up and breaking through doors and cutting a little openings for itself, and then
quite a lengthy point of view from this machine.
Yeah, it like steals some chips, I believe, some computer stuff, and then it escapes. And then I think it's another one where Bruce Wayne just like enters a room and then comes out as Batman. But by the way, he chases it like goes into a car or something like a lady pick. And then he chases her down and then ends up, like, getting thwarted. Like, he's got this glider and he gets shot out of the sky. Just that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of, like, Bruce Wayne talking with this, like, AI guy, Carl Rossum.
Yeah, and he's, I forget the actor's name, but he was someone who was in Blade Runner doing something similar.
Right. And it's a lot of, just a lot of just like, oh, we've got these robots and they're smart and blah blah blah. AI, what a near relevant thing, and yeah. But no, it's I don't know.
If I remember, yes, I remember now. It ending with there's this very Iron Man looking device with arms in the Batcave that I've never seen before or since in this episode. As soon as you see that and you know the plot's about AI,
right?
That, you know where that's going.
Yeah.
Then sure enough, when he tries to use this machine again, that's kind of, I forget what it was, like if it's costume on, I don't know, but it's basically some mechanical arms on the ceiling, and then the cliffhanger of this episode is that they grab him because, of course.
Well, there's also a bit where Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, is like hanging out with Barbara. By the way, Barbara's in this series. She gets introduced here, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And she got her pet bear, Wooby, who is a very important character who will come back.
Surprisingly, yeah, we wrote that down as a joke that just actually come back.
But yeah, like, Gordon gets replaced by a robot version of himself. It's very obvious because he's just acting very stiff, and he's just kind of very dismissive of her. Just like, oh, what's going on here? Except it's obvious because we just got done talking about a bunch of robots. And then, meanwhile, something comes up that causes Bruce to have to leave while he's got this lady at his house, like another, love interest sort of character. But, so she gets left there, and then she's like, obviously she's a robot too. And she attacks Alfred, and then gets into the Batcave and starts hacking their shit. And then that's when Batman comes back, he tries to use his computer, and then the stuff starts attacking him. So, like, that's the cliffhanger, is he gets grabbed by, like, this big claw, and all of his stuff is basically compromised. So, it's, yeah.
I'm trying to remember how much this episode actually revealed of our main antagonist, but because we've got Rossum, who we think it's going to be, but it's obviously not. He does introduce Hardak, so I suppose that is,
Yeah, all the players are there, but it's clear who's running the show at this point. Although, it's pretty easy to guess that, But still, it's a lot of setup. This is another one it's setup heavy. Part 2, kind of what you want. It's the big the meat of it, like that's the Act 3, but Part 1 is still, like, it's good. I remember this one being just decent. Like, it's just a good episode.
I remember as much, yeah. I guess it's quite interesting to watch this as well, because obviously AI is a big issue now, and it's going to be a big threat. So it's very interesting to hear this discussed in so much terms, and you think, oh, it's just science fiction back in the day when you're watching this, but no, it's actually becoming a real threat now, especially when you give it control over certain things. So kind of harrowing, it's probably a bit more scary now than it was back then. You're just like, oh, this is some Star Trek nonsense, and then you're watching it now and it's like, oh no. So obviously he defeats it by saying, Hardak, draw a hand, and then it just starts like fucking itself, and then it blows up, and that's how he saves the day. So I know it's part 2.
Yeah. Everything I have to say about this is in part 2. Part 1 is just a fine setup episode. It does the opening, like, heist thing is, like, really prolonged. Feels like it's like very obvious that it's a part 1 sort of deal, but it's not bad. That's all I got.
Yeah, so we'll just kind of throw this. Maybe it's probably a better part 1 than those part 2 and a part 1. I don't know why all the 2-parters are closer together. But it's very much fine.
I like it's part 1 of Heart of Steel and Feet of Clay, but part 2 of Two-Face.
Yeah.
That was the one where they actually got everything good in the first part, and then the second part was kind of superfluous. It was weird.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna say that's maybe slightly better than Christmas with the Joker.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good place for it, absolutely. Part 2.
So I guess we'll continue.
Alright, so this is where everything sort of culminates. I believe, pretty early on. So Batman just gets out of, he just does whatever to get out of the claws. It's not a thrilling cliffhanger, but it is what it is.
It's a cliffhanger.
Yeah. But I know that he and I believe Barbara are both on the roof of, like, the police station. Like, is the next major scene, and then Bullock goes up there, and then suddenly catches a fight. Like, he tries to stop them, and it's pretty clear that he has also been replaced. So
Notched.
he gets snatched. He gets tossed into the bat light. Is that where or is it just a light? Because did we establish the bat signal yet?
That was oh god, well, we had the fake one from Joker's Favor.
Yeah.
I remember it suddenly appearing, and we did write it down. I suppose that.
Yeah, wasn't that?
It was introduced in the Cape and Cowl
Cowl
conspiracy.
We forgot to mention that. Yeah, that was the first time they actually used the bat signal, was in that episode. And 31 in. Very weird.
There is a little. The characters do acknowledge it. There's a very brief, Gordon goes, "Hey, do you like this thing?" And that's it.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting because this has a lot of continuity with the two at the time Burton movies, and then the bat signal made its debut at the end of the '89 movie. So it's a little strange that it took them a while to introduce it here, or the fact they had to introduce it at all. But anyway. Yeah, it is. We do have the bat signal in this show.
Yeah. Again, and I think Bullock gets thrown into it, or the robot does, and he gets just electrified like hell and just burned alive. Again.
Yeah, now's the time to mention that.
Yeah.
The animators really have fun with the robot deaths because they can't depict humans dying horrifically, but you can with robots. So you said this once before about anyone being shot or something, or sorry, if the Batman has a fake stand-in like he does with his cape, if something gets shot, it gets shot to absolute pieces, and they do that with the robots here. They die horrific deaths.
It's exaggerated, and there's a lot of them in this episode. And it's not even clear at this point that Bullock's a robot, but it is not. It's not obvious, I guess. Especially because the weird sort of inconsistency is that Gordon is a robot in the first episode, and he shows up a bit in this one too. But the Gordon robot has no personality. It's made obvious that it's a stand-in who has just speaks very softly or very stiffly.
He's out of character.
No emotion. But everybody else, every other robot, has emotion. They act like the characters that they replaced. So it just seems like Bullock is just pissed off and is trying to fight him, and then suddenly he gets fried. It's now we show he's a robot. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure that
it is curious, yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm sure that scared a few kids. I can imagine being like, oh my god, oh okay. He's a robot. Even still. Yeah,
it's a slight plot hole why Gordon's robot is so. My only guess is that he's running an older version of that firmware or something. I don't know. Small strange thing, but they wanted that body snatcher thing of having a robot just sort of out of character. It's like a human face we know, but it's not them underneath.
Yeah.
I suppose that I want to acknowledge as well because I mentioned this while we're watching. But this is Snatcher. This is Snatcher because Snatcher was obviously took a lot from Blade Runner, and so does this. But Snatcher combined the idea of replicants with the idea of body snatchers, with the idea of Terminators, and this has the exact same combination of those three things. So, this is kind of the plot of Snatcher, except it's being enacted just by an AI. Yeah. I just want to acknowledge that.
Honestly, this is a little bit of a blur between, because I know it isn't just entirely like the fight scene at the end, but that's all I kind of remember is I
mean, it's quite big. It's quite a big segment.
Yeah, because it culminates with Batman and Barbara ending up at the where Hardak is, just this big factory, I guess, and then finding all of the of course the people who were replaced were not actually killed, nothing actually happened to them. They're just in suspension, in water or in a tank or something. So they get rescued. Like Rossum is among them, like placed. Gordon, Bullock, and they all like escape while Batman's dealing with fighting off the robots. And so Barbara gets pretty involved in this one. That's why we say set up as Batgirl. Like, it's nothing saying that she is Batgirl. She's active.
It's showing a competency and a tendency to, absolutely.
She's fighting alongside, and so she helps get everybody else out, and they have to get by some robots. There's the little note there with the Earthbound reference, because there is a robot who gets stopped by just jumping behind it and flipping a switch. I just had to
I'll just ask you, like, so I haven't played Earthbound that much. What's the context for that scene in Earthbound?
There's a boss fight with an enemy called the Clumsy Robot, and then it's one of, I think, 2 fights in the entire game where dialogue happens in the middle of it, and when you beat it, instead of it just, flashing away, that dialogue box pops up, and then the Runaway 5 jump into the room, hit the switch behind it and shut it off, and go, "Ha! What an easy, pathetic robot! Wow!" And this is after, like, a boss fight with a robot that could shoot bottle rockets.
Okay, because I'm going to be honest with you. When you first posted that, it took me a second to recognise that as an Earthbound text box, because I thought it was Mother 3, and there's a sequence where they're fighting a bunch of Porky imitation robots, and then people rush in that mid-fight and start like smashing the robot. So I actually mistook that for a Mother 3 reference until I looked a bit more closely and I realised that's that's an Earthbound. That's a Mother 2 text box.
Yeah, because like...
I thought it was the other one. The guys are rushing in to smash the robot imitators.
That's specifically the clumsy robot thing, because there's a robot that has like a
switch.
Yeah, it shoots a laser at them, and then I think Barbara reflects it with like a pocket mirror or something. And while that's happening, Rossum jumps behind it. It just flips a switch, just turns it off. It's just like It just reminded me so much of that, because it's just like, what an easy robot.
That's a good. Oh yeah! Before I forget, I want to acknowledge as well. I really like the design of Hardak, which is, it's just a machine, but it's because this is the 1930s kinda. Well, stylistically, it's a computer. It's the size of like a building. It's gigantic, and it really fits into that 30s style. I want to acknowledge that as well, because that's absolutely how you should depict an AI computer in this setting.
Yeah, it is stories tall. What's the tower in Computer Tower?
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, that's another one. Like a lot of robots dying horrible deaths. Creepy robot movements. A lot of them. There's like one where like
particularly the Gordon one. The Gordon's like running around on all fours. It's like a hell of a visual.
Yeah, it's kind of, again, because it just looks like him. Like, it's a robot, but it just looks like him, and he's just running around on all fours, and it's good. Like, it's creepy in a really cool way. Like, it's...
That's what makes zombies creepy, they look human, but they don't act it,
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, this is, again, I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than that it is... I mean, I guess what I said is enough. But it's just a good episode. It's just a really, really solid episode.
Yeah, we put that in A. I think we put it high because it's got some nice action in it.
Yeah.
Maybe there, because...
Yeah, sure.
I think I preferred it to, because from what I remember, the Cat and the Claw, it's the part 2 specifically, it's a good finale, but I feel like this fight with robots is a bit more interesting than that. But it doesn't quite have the characterization of Mad as a Hatter, because our antagonist is, after all, just
a robot. Yeah. It's a lot of fun action. But... And, I mean, the plot's good, too. It's just, it doesn't have the character of the others. But no, that's a good place for it.
Yeah, this is good. Right, so, finally, a debut we've been waiting for a long time.
That's right. It's
Bane.
It's Bane. He is not in this season. I don't know if he's in the show at all, but he is. Anyway,
he can confirm he is, but
okay,
just a little joke. This is the debut of the Riddler.
That's right, the guy that tried
finally,
to kill Poison Ivy.
finally, the show actually starts.
40 episodes in, I find that so strange. Like, they waited a long time to get this guy in here.
You don't want to like, sort of. I'll try and use an expression that's not as vulgar. You don't want to like show your hand too soon. You want to hold some things back, especially the characters that people are already familiar with from, for example, like the '60s Frank Gorshin Riddler. You know, you want to hold back a bit. Like I said, for the pilot episode, they didn't want to just immediately do Joker or whoever because everyone had perceived notions of what those characters should be like from other appearances. I think that's the case with Riddler as well. They don't want to just do that straight away, let this show get its footing a little bit, and then start showing their takes on characters that are already known. Anyway.
That was still like 4, I think, Joker-centric episodes before this, though.
Yeah, true.
It is kind of weird, but nah, it's fine. I guess that kind of works out because this Riddler's not my favorite interpretation.
Well, anyway, we'll review.
Yeah,
we'll review the episode first.
So Riddler is a game maker, programmer guy. He makes games, like video games.
It's a little vague, but yeah.
He works on video games, and then he gets fired, and then like a new video game comes out by him or something, or is it someone else?
Yes.
There's a new video
game. Like the company he works for is trying to kick him off the projects. It's strange. The way they talk about. Okay, so this is like, I might as well acknowledge this now because it's kind of lingering. This characterization of the Riddler is a little vague. Like, I don't fully understand what he's doing or even what he's producing, because they're referring to games, but he also keeps referring to puzzles, and it's like, oh, this is the riddle of the Minotaur, and it's like, I guess it's a video game, but the way Robin speaks about it, it sounds more like a physical puzzle, and Riddler often uses physical puzzles as traps, like if I recall correctly. I don't know, it's just the way I feel it's just kind of dated, the way they talk about games. Like, it's not he works for a company, it's not like a publisher. They don't really talk about development. I suppose it is supposed to be video games, but it's very much written by, well, writers from the early 90s, and that it's just not very clear. And when you do see the games, it's Atari graphics and literal Mario sounds. Like, it really took me out of the scene. Robin is playing this game, and it's just a bunch of Mario sounds. I was just, I couldn't pay attention to the scene. I was so distracted by them.
Yeah, it's every sound effect from Super Mario Bros. 1. Like,
yeah.
So much so that we both wrote a note about it because it just kept happening and there was so much of it. Like, so yeah, he creates the game. It's fired for suing for royalties, I guess. That's what it says.
Alright.
So then he kidnaps the guy. He starts putting riddles all over the place, and then it culminates in Batman and Robin finding a huge. It's like a lifelike version of the riddle of the Minotaur. It's just a big maze, and an impossibly big maze. Now that I think about it, it was huge, and it's a lot of just running around in this maze and then breaking the rules. Like, at one point, it's like a big hand keeps attacking him, and he purposely gets it to attack him so that he can ride on top of it.
Yeah, I'm getting this blurred a lot with the VR episode that comes later, and I was like, it's a hand of fate, this one, and yeah, it was, because he breaks the circuitry on it and reprograms it to deal with the Minotaur, which I kind of liked. I guess that was one highlight here, but.
Given what we rated this one, this wasn't a bad episode, but it's just the way that they discuss video games and puzzles. It's all very vague. I remember it just being surprisingly confusing for what shouldn't really be that difficult.
Yeah, that's what gets me. I'm still not 100% sure what Miller does. Like this interpretation of him, I think his personality is on point. His voice acting is perfect. That's not my issue. My issue is that he's sort of quasi the gamer villain, but not really. But he's more about puzzles, and I don't think they ever figure this out for this entire run.
Yeah. It's weird that, like, video games come to life, or, like, virtual reality games, as we'll see later, is his gimmick when he's the Riddler. Like, he's already got, like, he's the, you know, the thing that the detective has to break, but no, it's just games. And it just, how do you beat his traps? Like, you just kind of fuck with the rules? Yeah, you kind of cheat, essentially. I
don't really like Gamer Riddler. I don't know. Again, his personality is great. Yeah, I think he looks good as well. I think they did a good job with his his visual design. I just don't care for this game developer, toy maker. I don't know. They keep flip flopping between him being a game developer and like some sort of toy maker. I think that comes up later. That might come up in an episode we haven't actually watched yet, but I don't know. It's just something about his backstory I'm just not that fond of, and his motivations aren't particularly exciting either. Like we've seen the rude boss before. We've seen it many times.
Yeah. I want to talk about the animation. This one is weird. So I would argue it's good animation, but it is also strange, and that it is, I think, over-animated is the best word to use there. It looks...
Oh, yeah.
This is, like, throughout this episode, there's a lot of just, like, a bunch of frames. It reminded me, for whatever reason, it reminded me of the cartoon from the Star Wars Holiday Special. Like, it's a very... It's odd-looking, but, like, there's a lot of frames, so it looks... well done, but
a lot of work. But
yeah, it's very fluid. My biggest
memory of this episode's animation is there is repeated use of the Riddler being drawn as part of the background with maybe like a mouth animated on him. So you know, like the way cell animation works is you'll have the background plate, which is static. Usually like more detailed with different shading, and then you've on top of that you have the cell animation drawn on top of it on cells.
Yeah.
But in this episode, there's a lot of just drawing Riddler as part of the background, and then just putting a bit of like cell animation on top of that, and it looks really weird. And they really like doing it in this episode in particular.
Which is weird because it almost seems like a shortcut, but there's a lot of really good animation in the episode. It's just.
It's because they spend it all up and like shit. We've run out of cellulite to use. Quickly, just draw him on the background plate. I don't know. And then this is a common practice. It is absolutely not unique to this episode. But what is unique to this episode is just how much they do it, and with Riddler especially. And you know it when you see it. It's probably more obvious watching this in HD as well. Maybe they would have gotten away with it on a CRT, low res originally, but here it sticks out.
It's like there's a lot of it's very stylized too. There's this screenshot here for whatever reason. There's like a guard tied up sitting here, and for reasons I don't understand, like you see it a couple of times. His shadow is a elongated question mark. I don't know why. There's no relevance to it. It's just. For some reason, that's the way they drew his shadow. That's the kind of thing. It's just a lot of very like, whoa, that looks weird. It's kind of cool, but it's weird.
The way the guard is leaning over, like I can sort of see what they're going for, but it doesn't quite work.
It felt like
he's sort of question mark shaped, but not like that.
Yeah, it feels like it's kind of close enough. So why don't we just emphasize it for fun? Like that's what it feels like to me. It's. Because there's no reason for it. It's just they just did stuff like that. They just went all out on this one. So I think it's honestly a bit memorable just for that alone. Like it's a spectacle to look at.
Yeah.
But And then the plot is, it's a lot of confusing video game stuff, but it wasn't not entertaining, so we ended up throwing this.
Give it a B.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that at the bottom of B though, because we did complain about it a lot.
Yeah. Very mixed bag. Very mixed.
It's not quite a C, probably because of his characterization, but yeah.
And I would watch it again entirely just to see the animation in this one. It is very interesting. I would actually suggest looking at it if you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
alright, next one.
Joker's wild. He sure is. So Joker is in Arkham Asylum, hanging out with all of the cast and crew of the Batman show.
Particularly Poison Ivy.
Yeah, I didn't write hers down as a cameo because she actually appears in a lot of his opening. But,
No, she has like a lot of lines. That's more than a cameo.
Yeah. So they're watching TV, and they're having an argument over which channel to watch, all that jazz. And eventually comes up, it's like, oh, here, there's this guy who's opening up a casino, and Bruce Wayne's there, and they're about to unveil, like, the theming of it, basically. And then all of the curtains come down, and suddenly it's like, oh, it's a Joker-themed casino. Like, themed after one of Gotham's most notorious villains. Bruce Wayne is just like, no comment. I got nothing. Like, he's perturbed by that. So as is the Joker, who he has some sort of hang up with him being the theming of he has copyright issues. This is another one.
Yeah.
He's like,
I like the founder of the casino. There is the slightest bit of rationale as well, because making it over a criminal is one thing, but he's just like, his reaction is just like, what? A Joker is a playing card? That's a perfectly reasonable theme for a casino.
Yeah, he tries to play down. It's just like,
I can't help that.
It's a coincidence. Come on, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And Joker isn't really buying it though, so you see the entirety of him breaking out of Arkham. Like, there's a bit with like this screenshot here where he like gets on a truck after he gets over the wall and steals it from this guy who you've drawn a mustache on. Anyway, for some reason, I don't even know why.
He looks like Mario.
Okay, thank you.
Do you not? It's alright, I thought that was obvious, but alright.
I was doing a bit, but
Sorry.
Alright, so Mario doesn't exist in this universe. That's what those sounds are from. They're from the
sorry.
the Minotaur.
Spoiled that, did I?
Yeah.
My bad.
So, yeah, he ends up finding his way over to the casino, and there's a fair bit of just him, like, just messing around in the casino. Like, he's actually, he steals, like, one of the blackjack table or whatever, and just starts dealing and just, like, screwing with the people there. And
Yeah.
Weird one, there are Harley cosplayers, people in Harley costumes as, like, working,
Yeah.
you know.
They're professionals, so it's not cosplay, I guess.
Yeah. But, Harley's not in this episode, like, at all. Like, that is the
Yeah, you think she would be.
Yeah, that is all you see of her, which is kind of weird.
You think after he gets out of Arkham, you try and meet up with her or something, but... just...
So, yeah, he's, like, screwing the people there, and then Bruce Wayne comes up to his table, and I wasn't sure, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't realize it's the Joker because he just thinks it's someone in, like, a get-up, just doing his bit. And so they have banter back and forth, not realizing...
No, he knew it was him.
He did?
He literally, as soon as he screws with him.
Okay.
He says,
sure.
he's like saying this place is so horrific and horrible faces, it's disturbing. and then he tricks him, and then he immediately goes to Alfred and just goes, Joker's here.
Oh, okay.
Get the batsuit.
I didn't remember. I just remember at first being like, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's probably...
No, he definitely did.
Yeah.
He's seen him enough.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it would work, though, because it's a Joker-themed casino, so you never know, but... No,
But I do appreciate. I mean, this is an animation thing, but I do appreciate all the costumes are pretty crappy as well. You know?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, he's in there. Yeah, he's just screwing with them, and then so they all know that they're all there. But I think Batman first confronts the guy who ran the casino. Like he breaks into his office and is just like, what are you doing here? Like, what's the deal with this? And I don't.
So if I remember, so he's watching Joker on the security cameras, and he sees Joker setting up a bomb, and all he says is just like, "Oh, prep my helicopter, I'm leaving." And then I think Batman confronts him. He says, "What are you up to?" And then he incapacitates Batman with like a electric shock. I think it's like a floor panel because he anticipated Batman or definitely Joker confronting him, so he has that in place already. And then he just says, "Oh, just throw him in with his." Batman realizes that the reason he's done this facade is originally it was called Camelot. It was just a medieval, generic, like a medieval themed casino hotel. Batman realizes that, confronts the owner of the casino, and it turns out it's insurance. So he couldn't afford. He was massively in debt after creating the casino, so he was going to cash in on the insurance. So at the last minute, he made it a Joker-themed casino, because as we know from previous episodes, Joker watched a lot of TV and gets pissed off easily, especially about his image. So he deliberately riled up the Joker because he knew he'd immediately come and destroy the casino. So that was his plan, and then Batman's incapacitated, and he says, "Oh, throw him into the, that room with Joker," just throwing him with his friend. Batman is knocked. Yeah, there's a funny bit where Batman's already captured, and he just kind of stumbles into this room. They push him into this room, and then Joker just clobbers him over the head. And he's like, "Oh, that was easy." And then Batman's tied him into a giant roulette wheel. He explains to Joker what's happening, and he's like, "Oh, I hate it when you're right." So Joker goes to confront casino guy, Kaiser. Should help if I looked up his name there. Kaiser. Batman breaks free, and then you get the obvious kind of conflict at the end there, and then nice little scene where Joker ends up back in Arkham.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's a nice plot. It makes a lot of sense. I like the idea of Joker just being riled up and played by someone else, and he falls right into it as well. I love the line, "Oh, I hate it when you're right," to Batman.
I do enjoy the three-way fight too. All three of them are in conflict with each other, and he culminates in basically Joker doing Kaiser's work for him, and in two ways really, getting rid of Batman and destroying the casino. But it's just that's a good episode. That was
really
a fun episode.
So we put those things. I like casino locations in general.
Same.
They're always fun. And yeah, the one negative is kind of weird. Harley wasn't there. I feel like there's a lot of Joker speaking to himself, but then again, he's actually speaking mostly to Ivy at the start.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been nice to hear the banter with her and her reaction to this. Just see her going, "Oh, this is amazing, Mr. J," or something like that. But whatever. Small nitpick. Yeah. I'm sure there was a reason they kept her out.
Yeah.
So we put that in A.
Yeah, that's just I have very little to say against that one. It's just a good episode.
I think it belongs somewhere around here. Is it better than the Dream episode?
I'd say no.
I think it would be.
You think
No.
So?
I don't know. I mean, the Dream episode's really good. There's not a lot of. It is quite dry for a good portion of it when we see this alternate reality, but.
Sure.
But I'll put it there if you want.
I just think the Dream episode is a lot more of a unique concept, whereas Joker's World's a pretty good concept.
Oh no, that's fine. They're all
both
good. Whatever.
They're all good. It doesn't really matter. But
okay.
It's
next one, Tyger.
Oh man, we have a double feature of fun stuff here. This is part one of the fucking lycanthrope bullshit saga.
Yeah,
So
not officially, but yeah, no, there's a little joke there, but
yeah, this is just a single episode. It just turns out that the next episode is fairly similar in a weird way, but we'll get to it. This one, it starts off with a guy who I believe is clearly voiced by Jim Cummings. He's there in a zoo. He's like a security guard, and it's at night, and he's just kind of on patrol. And then he gets attacked by a werewolf guy, or a cat guy. So yeah, it's a cat.
No. He's attacked by the ape guy. The guy who's like part ape.
Oh.
Tyger doesn't leave the island.
Oh, okay.
It's the henchman, in the
Gotcha.
coat. It's also Jim Cummings.
I thought they were all cats, but I just don't remember. I just remember they're all furry creatures. And then they're same exact voice, which is weird.
Yeah.
And this leads to I just know. Yeah, I know Catwoman's involved. How does she get there?
You know what? I can't even. No, wasn't she? Yeah, she's at the zoo, and she's the one who gets kidnapped, right? You see, we're getting there far enough into this review and us watching it where my memory's starting to get a bit fuzzy. But I'm pretty sure she's at the zoo, and she gets kidnapped by this ape man who's like he's not quite as feral as the other experiments we'll see, but he's kind of like a henchman with a weird face. That's the best way I could describe him.
Yeah.
And I think he sedates Catwoman, Selena Kyle. She gets kidnapped and taken elsewhere. I believe Batman. I think there's a zookeeper there who is voiced by Jim Cummings. I believe it's his testimony that Batman leads him to this island.
Right.
I think. Anyway, the point is Batman finds Selena, and she's been turned into a literal Catwoman.
I want to point out because in the appearances there, the Dr. Kirk, the Man-Bat from the very first episode, shows up. It's like a brief appearance where he's like talking about animal creatures. I think that has something to do with him getting there because I don't think he's on the island. But
you're right. Yeah, because he was the Man-Bat and he knows something about human-animal splicing.
Yeah. But it ends up basically, it's the island of Dr. Moreau. There's an island with a scientist who's making animal creatures, and Catwoman is just full on a cat person now. She looks like she's straight out of the fucking production of Cats. And
oh no, fate worse than death.
She has like blonde fur because she has blonde hair, I guess, it just seems weird because Catwoman, she's all dressed in black, but she's just
that kind of annoyed me in terms of like a design standpoint. That was my note there. I was just like, she should be black, really. They're just making her yellow is too far away from Catwoman, and I know it makes sense because of her hair color, but like, come on, it's Catwoman. She's not yellow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and then it's just a bunch of shit where there's like another cat. There's like a tiger guy, and he's like, I need a mate, and so I'm in love with Catwoman. Catwoman's like, no, I don't.
Yeah, it's Bride of Frankenstein. It's the Island Dr. Moreau crossed with Bride of Frankenstein. And speaking of the latter, the Mad Doctor is like very much like Dr. Pretorius from like the old Universal Bride of Frankenstein monster. He is very similar to that character. So they definitely kind of intertwine those two concepts. Like just you made a bride for Tigress. God, this is a weird episode.
Yeah, it's just weird, and I don't remember much of it other than I was just constantly like, why is this happening? This is dumb. I don't like this. And then by the end of it, Catwoman's just like, oh yeah, they do the thing again. We're just like, oh, the one more dose. One more.
Yeah, the one more dose get out clause. So like she's turned into a human animal hybrid thing. I know it's a cartoon, but at that point you're like, okay, your body is irreparably changed. But then there's a little line just saying like, yeah, I don't know if it's literally that, but it's like one more dose and she won't be able to. She'll never be human again. You're like, okay, so she's fine.
Yeah, it's something like the
I guess
one more
as long as you've
operation.
seen that.
One more operation, and then the process will be complete, or something like that. And
Yeah, that line.
It's a problem for me. A lot of these sort of complaints where you go like, "Oh, it's a kids' cartoon." Well, like, yeah, but it's also a cartoon that takes itself pretty seriously. Like,
No, I'm just saying that. Just as we're doing
no.
this review, I'm trying to give it that benefit of a doubt.
No, I'm
for certain
saying,
circumstances.
I'm saying in our defense, like, that's the reason that, like, you can't just say that with this show, because it actually does. It's a smart show for the most part.
The standards are too high. Yeah.
So, like, whenever, especially like again, the auction thing, whereas like we already did blackmail, like we already have proven that we can do this. Like we are smart enough for that. But then it's just like they just kind of forget sometimes. Or like some episodes just don't have that care put into it, and it has stuff like this where it's just like, oh well, she's 100% just a cat, but nah, fine. You know, one more operation will be the deciding factor. It's it's just one little bit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll just revert back to human, just 100%. It's stupid. Like, I remember the whole plot is just like this guy is trying to impress Catwoman, and she's just like, no. And
That's really it. That's how the episode ends. Because she I put here, conclusion is Catwoman passing a speech check with Tigers, because she just says, no, your father is actually your enemy. And he's like, oh, is he? And then that's it. That he turns on his master, they destroy the place, and that's the episode.
Yeah.
It's not really... Batman doesn't do a ton. He just... Yeah, Catwoman just kind of convinces him to stop. I've put she doesn't really do much here, but I guess she also gets out of this situation herself. So...
Well, I mean, it didn't take
God,
much
it's
to
weird.
do.
I think the big thing is that gets me with this is it seems a bit too outlandish for Batman the animated series. I think when this continuity goes on and you get into Batman Beyond and Justice League, I could probably stomach a human animal hybrid a little bit more. But this early on, everything's still pretty grounded. Like Man Bat, they had Man Bat, but Man Bat was like very feral, and definitely kind of a freak accident. The idea of just a guy just making human cat hybrids, I don't know. It kind of goes beyond my suspension of disbelief for this universe, and it's just fucking weird. I don't know. I'm not a fan of this one.
It's too
silly weird.
In execution. Yeah, it's just
off.
It feels very, very cartoony and not very thought out. It's just here.
And they try and make it a bit more mature with the William Blake references, to the poem,
right?
The Tyger, which feels a little pretentious. I don't know. It just doesn't really fit in. But
yeah, I remember they're a little on the nose with that too. But
you can have the reference there, and I think that someone mentioned. And then it ends. The episode ends with Batman reading out the opening lines, which I kind of like, but it's also just why?
Yeah, it felt like it was trying to salvage what was otherwise just an episode they didn't give much of a shit about. Like it didn't.
Yeah, I don't know, trying to legitimize it. Like, oh no, this is quite artsy. It's like, no, it's a silly cat episode. I'm sorry.
It is the episode where there are cat people, and then it just kind of, they didn't get that last operation, so now they're not cats anymore. Like, whatever. We put in D.
Yeah, it just kind of ends. It wasn't very good. Put them in the middle there. I don't know. It doesn't really matter when you're that low down, but...
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
No, all three of those suck in different ways.
Yeah, I think the Scarecrow one's probably the best of those, which is...
Yeah.
Not saying much.
Yeah. And then we follow that up with Moon of the Wolf, which is an episode in which they're lycanthrope bullshit. It's
the best part is before this is like the one episode where the highlight comes before the episode even begins. The title card is this rockin' theme song for the. Every character has their own. Every major character at least has their own theme throughout the whole show. With as we mentioned, this one's just like an electric guitar kind of like cheesy rock song, and it's really funny because I just didn't expect it turning on this episode.
It was it was funny. So this episode opens up with a guard in a zoo being attacked by a furry creature. Fucking why?
Yeah, but isn't it literally the same zookeeper?
Yes, it's the same. Well, it doesn't have the same voice because it's not Jim Cummings, but it's the same looking guy in the same setting being attacked at night. Like, it's so weird. Like, so
again,
we noticed that this is because we got the air dates. We first thought it was like back to back, but no, they were aired pretty separately. But even still, like when you made these episodes, you had this idea twice. Like, why? And so this one's a little more...
It has an impact on the actual episode as well. If you watch these back to back in this order, there's some kind of funny ramifications for Batman. So there's this like the werewolf and Batman is just, it's funny. He just comes out swinging. He's like, not another fucking furry thing again. I'm fucking sick of this. He just I don't know, he just comes across as like really pissed off. He's like, I'm just dealt with that fucking Tyger thing. Like, what the hell? And he just comes out swinging. But then you think he's learned from so it starts off like that, and you think, oh right, yeah, he's dealing with this again. But then for like the first act or whatever, it's just like, oh, I just fought a guy wearing a werewolf mask, and you're like, oh god, like no, like, oh, come on.
So then he ends that scene with like, what if that guy wasn't wearing a mask? And then the next scene, if I remember correctly, or at least the next scene with Batman in it, is him. He sneaks into Commissioner Gordon's office. He does that a lot, where he just kind of shows up, and Gordon's like, you give me a heart attack, And they have a discussion about what's going on, and they're talking about the guy that was attacked. And Batman says the line, he could be wearing a mask. And it's like, you stupid motherfucker. What did we just say? So,
it's just so funny him like hearing that after, and I know it's like the production all and like, all the weird ordering stuff, and you don't necessarily have to have watched one after the other. But it's just funny how he immediately deals with human-animal hybrids. He sees a werewolf, and his just immediate reaction is, "That's a guy in his costume. Werewolves aren't real." And you're like, "Oh god damn it!" Yeah, so putting that right after Tyger is just really has a funny implication on this episode.
So there's the guy who ends up being the werewolf. He is given what was it, like wolf estrogen or something like that. It's some sort of like wolf biology thing, and he's just like, he's drinking that, and that makes him, he's like an Olympic athlete, and that's like his steroids is wolf blood. It's fucking weird,
blood.
And that ends up turning. I wrote down something different, and then we had to change it.
Yeah, and I was like, no, that's fucking gross. No.
But no, it's just like, oh, he's using some sort of wolf shit, thanks to Dr. Milo, to be a better athlete.
Oh yeah, that idiot again.
Yeah,
him and his bad haircut.
Yeah, fucking Mandark. He's there just giving him. Yeah, he has the bowl cut. I'm sorry. But, so and that, of course, so that turns him into a werewolf on top of making him a good athlete, I guess. And what he like? I don't know. There's some shit where he doesn't want to keep taking it, but he is. He's like, or he's like, give me the cure for this, and Milo's like, oh, I will, but you have to do this for me. Kill Batman.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was it.
Yeah, and then that's kind of the rest of the episode. I just want to point out a good Netflix subtitle in it's of course gas. Just like in comma, made me laugh.
Yeah. Also, just him just going. It's. I thought it was like because oh, of course it's gas. Everything's gas in Gotham. Gas this and gas that. Knockout gas, poison gas, Joker gas.
Yes, of course. Oh yeah, it's just like he breaks into the guy's house and he's just interrogating him, and the guy's being very casual about it. And then suddenly Batman's like, "There's this weird smell. What is this weird smell? Oh, it's gas. Oh, it's knockout gas, so it doesn't affect you, I guess."
It's a theorem gas.
Yeah, theorem using gas. This is the sequel, Of Course Gas. Gas that makes you say "of course."
Of course.
On patient side, we have the leopards in the zoo. The elephants and polar bears in the same enclosure next to the leopards. Just,
oh god.
I think the Gaston note is just the guy kind of sounds like Gaston or looks like him. I forget.
He kind of looks a bit like him. Yeah.
Looks like him. Yeah. Oh yeah, Batman is really big on hair puns in this, or just
he's very jokey in this episode.
Yeah, he keeps calling him Shaggy.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the episode ends with, or the conflict ends with the werewolf guy getting struck by lightning, just random.
Yeah, of course. Sure. Real universal monster thing. Yeah. Sure, we'll just go with that.
Oh man, through and through, dumb episode. I've said it many times, but man,
I want to acknowledge as well, they kind of treat becoming a werewolf just as an everyday disease.
Right.
It just goes, oh, that's what you have, and okay, yeah, I know, but how do I cure it? Which is also immediately funny because Batman's just oh yeah, that's a mask.
Yeah,
oh my god.
He feels stupid. Batman feels very stupid in this episode. And the plot is really dumb and trite and just...
It wouldn't be as bad if it didn't immediately come after Tyger.
It would still be bad, but not...
It'd still be bad. Oh, no, it'd still be a bad episode, but I'm just saying he seems particularly stupid.
Right, yeah. And also, just we didn't need another episode like this. I mean, I'd take the werewolf one over whatever the fuck that last one was, but even still,
sure.
We didn't need both of these.
No.
Jesus. This is another D. Yeah, right there. That's perfect. Just dumb.
Yeah. I was thinking earlier that D's a little underpopulated. That suddenly made a turn.
I forgot both of these were that bad. But yeah.
Day of the Samurai.
Kind of curious what the rest look like.
Well, we'll get to them. We've got time.
Yeah. So...
This isn't the game 50 thing where we have to have a balance of things. It's just no, they are what they are.
Right, sure.
Alright, so Day of the Samurai.
Day of the Samurai. This is a sequel episode to Night of the Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
It's another Kyodai episode. Kyodai, the ninja, I guess that's what he's called. He's just Kyodai. He is searching for the touch of death technique. It's just if there's a scroll somewhere that gives you instructions on how to use this technique that was banished. It was put inside a volcano to hide it.
Yeah, so Goku Setsu. If you use this, you will be evil or something.
Well, it's
too deadly. No, I know that. I know it's too deadly. It's just not. Yeah. You only want to kill people.
It's like the Kenshiro thing. It's you touch them in a certain point and their heart just stops. That kind of shit. So there's a lot of build up for that where it's just this. The sensei knows it, and then he was like, "Oh, this is too much. I have to hide this." And Kyodai doing whatever to figure it out. This one, I don't remember the details in this one too much.
But she gets kidnapped, and the main thing is that Batman travels to Japan. This episode is Batman in Japan. This is that's the big thing.
Oh yeah, and then like another disciple of the same guy, I think, gets kidnapped. Like there's a lady who's kidnapped.
Kyrie.
Yeah, that's part of the plot. Is Batman's trying to rescue her and stop him, and it's kind of just a lot of setup for the finale, which is the Tekken volcano stage fight.
Yeah.
Between Bruce Wayne and Kyodai, because that's where the thing is, the scroll is, and so he eventually finds it, and he gets the part that tells him the thing that he needs to know. And I remember there's a bit of setup where Bruce finds like his where he's been hiding out. I would say his dojo. It's just a place where he's been hanging out. And there's a dummy setup that shows like, oh, he's been testing his technique and perfecting it here on the dummy, and they that's like the setup for what ends up foiling his plan. Is Kyodai hits him at a certain point in his chest, and it's like, oh, that's supposed to, this the touch of death, it'll kill you, and it doesn't happen. He's just like, oh, like what the hell? This shit sucks. This touch of death is a touch of shit. It's garbage. And then it turns out like, oh, he Bruce put like something to protect his
extra padding there, because I actually predicted this. He found his training dummy, and he just investigated the dummy. It's like, oh, this bit is like really spongy and that's been hit repeatedly. I'm willing to bet that's the touch of death he's been practicing. So he just puts. I mean, I'm kind of assuming he's wearing armor as Batman anyway. He does take his mask off during the final fight, which is a really cool touch. It looks really cool, the final fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, he has armor there anyway. But anyway, it's kind of clever though, because he puts extra padding there or something.
Right.
Yeah,
and then the volcano goes off. Like, was it just random? I just remember there's lava everywhere, and it's sort of like Kodai gets himself in a position where it's like he's about to fall in the lava. He's like surrounded by it. He's gonna end up sinking into it, and then like throws something to him. It's just like, here, pick this up, and I'll save you. And he's just like, nah. He just makes a face that just neutral face, just like, nah. And then he supposedly goes under, and he's supposedly dead, but probably not. But and then it's just a cool conclusion. Like it's a pretty good fight scene, all things considered. Like it's a good bit. So it's like looking at the tier list placement, it's apparently a B, so it wasn't that bad. Just I
want to quickly acknowledge there's a lot of spoken Japanese as well.
Yes,
that was quite surprising as well, like subtitled Japanese. Quite surprising to hear that in a 90s American cartoon.
Yeah, I would not have expected that, but it seems like, again, it's one of those things like I can't say for certain how well it's done, like how well this stuff is implemented, but like at the very least, it seems like there's an effort being made, and I appreciate that.
For sure.
So
yeah. I would put that in B.
Yeah, and then the one downside we noticed, Kyodai he's still kind of lame. He's just not that great.
He's not great.
He's not a very interesting villain. He's just a kind of petty guy.
Maybe there or there.
Above Feet of Clay, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Alright. Next one. And we've got yet another sort of, thankfully you had that little break there, because we've got another animal hybrid episode.
This is another Man-Bat episode. I was not expecting a proper sequel to the very first episode, but no, they dip back into the Man-Bat thing. So Man-Bat attacks it's like a dock or something, like dock workers, steals like a crate of oranges or something and just eating their food.
Yeah, not the most threatening thing to start off with. Yeah,
but it's like what ends up happening is you see Kirk waking up, and he's like in bed, and then he looks down and he sees like these like orange slices and like the windows open, and he's just like,
A mess, yeah.
yeah, he's like, something's going on here. And then he hears about, I assume he hears about the man bat attack, and or Bruce hears about it and starts interrogating him, and he's just like, no, I'm not taking the formula. Like I shouldn't be having these problems. Like I shouldn't be the man bat. Like that's not.
He says, like, the thing you gave me obviously didn't work.
Oh right,
He accuses them of.
That's right. So there's this like kind of intrigue of like, what is he doing this again? Like what's going on here? And I do like Art of Fighting spoiled the twist, which is a really funny bit where his Dr. Kirk's wife, Francine, she shows up and she's dressed in like a red suit, like the white shirt, and I was just like, she looks a lot like King. And that was like, oh, that's the. Remember, there was just like, that's kind of funny. And then the next time Man Bat shows up, they're wearing like red pants, like it's like the torn up shirt, but it's like the
Yeah,
red
because
pants.
you acknowledge the red pants.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're just
It's
like,
yeah, because whenever it's like, oh, the mess was in his bed, like he's sleeping right next to his wife, so
yeah.
it isn't him, it's her. And so that kind of, it did kind of give away the twist, like the outfit is actually distinct enough, because it's not well hidden, it's just like, it's literally what she was wearing. So,
Yeah, it did kind of spoil it a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose if you're like attentive, you'd realise that. But yeah, maybe if they were just wearing like black pants, it would have been a little bit less obvious. But regardless, it's a fun twist.
Yeah.
Because
So,
I didn't, apart other than realising it early on, I didn't really see that coming. I did just assume it was him again, or maybe even the Odo guy. But no, it was her. So that's a fun twist.
yeah, so it's She-Bat, and
She-Bat, yeah.
there's a lot of I think she I think assumes it's him. And
Naturally, yeah.
yeah, so she, like, they have a little bit of a falling out, so she doesn't know that it's happening at all. And then the reveal is that one night she was helping, I believe, their father, Dr. March, I think. Yeah, so
I don't think it's father.
it's whoever. Yeah, it's the older guy that works there. I just know that it's.
Yeah.
I thought it was her father, and then he. Yeah, Dr.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember because March's Francine's last name is actually like both of theirs combined.
Okay.
For that
All
reason.
right. So
yeah, it's
yeah.
it's her father, and she's helping him. Like, he like drops something, breaks a vial of some stuff, and she cuts herself on the glass, and that causes the infection, or the cut causes her to get some of that stuff into her blood, and so she's transforming into She-Bat because, like, through that. And so she doesn't know that's happening, and then suddenly, like, she's on an airplane going to leave, and then suddenly transforms and then breaks out, and there's a big fight with them trying to basically stop her and help her out. So
Yeah.
they
I
end
love
up
the
figuring-
scene.
yeah, it's a really, really good scene. As we noted, a lot of like snow in this episode. It's like a really pretty episode. There's a lot of really good shots of the snow-covered Gotham, which is really nice. And so they confirm, like, oh, the cure worked. Somebody else got infected, and I believe, Kirk Langstrom, he's the guy up, kind of making the save, like, kind of.
I like that touch. Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Yeah. It's just a really good episode. I want to shout out to that picture of
Definitely better than the animal. When we realised the premise was going to be more animal hybrids, we just feared the absolute worst. We're like, oh no. But
Yeah.
thank God it's actually a good episode.
Yeah, no, this one was actually pretty good. Like, and especially after like the first Man Bat episode was not our favorite. I think we warmed up a little bit to it after watching the rest of the series, but we were just like, oh, it's these guys. And then no, it actually turned out to be a pretty good episode. I want to give
But one of my positive was because it's a sequel episode, they could do that misdirection with
Oh yeah,
with
yeah.
Kirk. So I like that.
Yeah, like it was honestly like it did take us a second to figure out who it was, and the way they gave it away was kind of silly. No, like that was like, oh, okay, we're just doing this again. Oh no, it's actually something interesting. So no,
Yeah.
yeah, just very solid work. I need to give a shout out to that newspaper image.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that appeared in I want to say the Catwoman episode. It was in an earlier episode. Like that image on that newspaper with that text was
Yeah. It's a redrawn because I actually compare the two.
yeah.
But yeah, it's coolest cat saved.
Yeah, it came up twice, and they yeah, it's not even a copy and paste job. So I don't know what.
I don't know if it's like I don't know if that's like for production, like you just use this for animation when there's a newspaper. I don't know if it's an in joke. I don't know. It's like a sort of nerdy looking girl with a bandaged cat.
Yeah,
that's the coolest cat. Strange. I don't know if that. Yeah, I don't know if that's just filler. Like this is just a filler image we use whenever there's a newspaper that needs to be animated. But that jumped out to us.
It's just very funny. Oh yeah, good episode. Decent episode.
That was my.
You're up an A.
Sorry. Maybe there, honestly.
Sure. Yeah.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. It's fine with me.
All right.
Well, now we can say we almost got him. I don't know. That's the name of the next episode. It's almost got him.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a really, really fun episode. I thought this was the season finale, and because it kind of just feels like one. Like
it definitely could have passed for one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, long story short, I think whenever I wrote down all the names, like on this doc that we're looking at, I think I stopped here and just forgot to put the rest in. So I was like, we only have 46 episodes. And then when we, I think we ended up watching this and being like, all right, we're done. And then I just was looking at the page to get more information, and I was like, season 1 is 65 episodes. Why did we think it was 46?
I just kind of went along with it. I was, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of lazy here, so I can't just go like, oh, it's your fault, because I wasn't doing a damn thing to help, so...
When we first talked about doing this, I was like, oh man, this is 65 episodes, so I don't know, I have no excuse for this, I just completely blanked.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway,
well, you realised before you started producing these videos, so...
yeah, at the very least. I just like there was a point where like...
You didn't open the part 1 saying, oh, we're going to watch all 46 episodes of season 1.
I do remember us at some point being like, oh, we have to go watch more. Like, there's so much. But...
Yeah.
But no, this was a good episode. This was actually kind of perfect for a season finale, but it's just kind of in the middle here. This is an episode of, and I believe this is also an adaptation of several things. This is the villains, the kind of large super villain gathering. They're all just around at a poker table, sharing stories about how they almost got Batman. And they each tell like a brief story. What do we got? Joker, Penguin, Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Two-Face. They're all just BSing, and they just kind of take turns telling stories.
Each one.
Yeah.
Yeah, each one has their own almost Gotham story.
Poison Ivy.
And they're trying to outdo each other.
Yeah, they're all like, oh, this is even better. So Poison Ivy's got poison ivy gas. This one.
Yeah, she said that. Yeah, that's weird.
This one's
in like exploding pumpkins.
Yeah, it's just like she's for some reason dressed slightly differently. Where I guess it's supposed to be like Halloween themed, so she's just wearing less.
As you do.
Yeah, and she just like throws a bunch of pumpkins that have poison ivy gas in them.
Yeah. Ripping off Green Goblin.
Yeah, and then that's kind of it. There's really nothing interesting about that one. So her story sucks. I guess you start with the weakest one. Makes sense. Two-Face has the giant penny. he
I think this is the most memorable one, apart from the last one. But yeah.
Two-Face has got the giant penny.
He's robbing the mint, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it's the mint. He subdues Batman, and as you naturally do, he ties him to a giant penny, and then flips the penny. But Batman has Two-Face's coin. Funny how I remember this one a lot more than the Ivy one. He uses the coin to cut through the ropes just in time. But yeah, that's these just to say now, these first three stories feel extremely kind of Silver Age comic booky. They are very, very silly. Like all three of them.
Yeah, like I think the Two-Face one literally is. So.
Yeah.
So, but then he uses a coin to like cut the rope and escape, and then it's pretty simple.
Batman. I want to acknowledge it while it's here as well. Batman is allowed to keep the coin, and Two-Face says as much. And then I don't know if it's like immediately, but you will see it in the Batcave going forwards, including Batman Beyond. So this is where that came from. You're watching Batman Beyond, and you wonder why there's a giant coin in the Batcave. Watch this episode.
It's pretty silly. They just kept that in. They move on to Killer, and then they move on to Penguin, who is another one that's at the zoo. It's
the Killer Croc thing. I don't want to just gloss over. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
I threw a rock at him, and like that's it. Like, what's your almost got him story? I threw a rock at him.
That's like the running theme is that Killer Croc is just an idiot in this episode, and they just keep making fun of him. That's why he just kept writing Killer Croc stuff. Yeah, but we'll get back to him. Yeah. So yeah, we get to the Penguin one. He's at a zoo.
I think it's an atrium, right?
Yeah,
the atrium in the zoo.
Because it's all birds. He's the big bird guy. There's poisoned tipped hummingbirds. So they get like launched, or they're like flying around like fucking flying poison.
Batman gets so a penguin sprays Batman with the nectar that the hummingbirds drink. So they go after Batman. They start pecking at him, like gradually poisoning him. He then gets attacked by a giant emu. I think it's an emu. And then he uses the hummingbirds as darts, and he grabs these hummingbirds and stabs them into this bigger bird. It's a strange image.
Yeah. Very
strange. One of the strangest things Batman's ever done is weaponized hummingbirds, but it happens here.
Yeah, and that's kind of that. It's just birds using hummingbirds.
Again, very cheesy kind of Silver Age comic book stuff here, if not literally adapted.
Yeah. And then he gets to Joker, and he's like, "I've got the biggest doozy of them all." And what is it? He's got Catwoman captured.
No. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, like...
No, he doesn't. He's captured Batman. Batman is in an electric chair that's powered by laughter. Joker's doing yet another... Well, I don't know if it's literally being broadcast on TV, but that's like the setup he's got this time.
Yeah.
Where he has a studio audience, and he pumps the audience full of laughing gas. I think... Did he take over a TV studio? Yeah, I think he does. Okay. Yeah, because they're real people.
No.
Yeah.
You got this wrong, because... Catwoman's captured, and the reason that this is all happening is that
yeah, but she hasn't been captured yet. This is the ending. No, I'm right, because Batman gets saved by Catwoman, but she gets like left behind. She gets captured, and then that's when you bleed into the present day.
Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah.
So it's getting a bit confusing. The flashback. So going back to the flashback, this is Joker's story in the past. Batman's trying up to an electric chair. It is powered by laughter. He pumps laughing gas into the audience, so it starts powering up. And he's saved by Catwoman. There's like Turtle Batman's freed, and then I think she doesn't escape. Like while confronting Joker, she actually gets knocked out or something along those lines. So Joker's story ends. We're out of the flashback, back in the present day, and Joker's saying, like, "Oh, that's not a very good almost got him story." And he said, "Oh no, that's the best part, because there's other ways to get people." And after that, I actually have Catwoman tied up right now. Like I've captured her now, and as we speak, Harley's keeping an eye on her at the cat food factory. And then Killer Croc says, "That's all I needed to hear." I think he like kicks over the table or something. It turns out Killer Croc is Batman. And all these patrons of the CD bar are actually cops. And the reason he disguised himself as Killer Croc was to get Joker to basically say where Catwoman is. So he then goes to the cat food factory, he confronts Harley, and there's this absolutely brilliant moment, probably my favourite moment of the whole episode, and the episode's good already, where Harley like starts the conveyor belt. Catwoman's on a conveyor belt, she's going to be fed into a machine to be turned into cat food. Harley's just like the villain shtick of Batman grabs her, and she's like, "Well, you can't. What are you going to do? You're going to beat me up, or you're going to save Catwoman? You can't do both." And then without moving a foot, he just leans over, pulls a lever, shuts off the machine, and then she's just like, "Oh, well, yeah, I guess you could do that." That's like the best part. I also feel like that comedic bit is also because of how much is going on in this episode. They were probably literally just running out of time.
Yeah.
So, but that's like the funniest part. She's just like, "Oh, yeah," like it's all like supervillain cliche, and they just flip it on its head. And then Catwoman thanks him, and then I think she goes to embrace him, and then he leaves. And a brilliant final line, she just goes, "Oh, almost got him."
All right.
So, yeah, that's a really good episode. That's one of my favorites. As you can probably tell, I've seen it a few times.
Yeah. My hang-up was I was confusing the flashback for the Act 3 bit, but but no, it was just a really, really good episode. It kind of sounds like it's a little dumb going into it because a lot of the opening ones are kind of silly, but where it goes is actually incredibly solid. Like the fact that it isn't all flashbacks, that actually one of the flashbacks is relevant to the main plot, which you don't know is going on until after, you realize that Batman is, Killer Croc Killer Croc is Batman in disguise.
Yeah, it bleeds into it. That's why when we're talking about Killer Croc before, we couldn't really discuss his characterization in this show too much, because we've only got the one appearance of him, because this one doesn't count because it's not actually him, so I don't actually know if he's that stupid or not. Going by his previous episode, he's not. He's capable of kidnapping, like framing people, but in this one he's portrayed as a complete moron. But I guess that's Batman making fun of him. Oh no, it's kind of strange. But...
I mean, no one questions it, so it must be that's how everyone perceives him. He might actually be stupid. It's just,
I don't know,
weird because we have only one episode to go off of, and he wasn't that dumb in that episode. Honestly, the episode was dumber than him.
If we had a few more, we might have. Yeah, we might. If he had a few more appearances, might be able to notice the discrepancy a bit more. But yeah,
no,
strange.
But just a lot happens
really
in this
good
episode, but it's very good for it. So.
That was always one of my favorites.
Yeah, it holds up.
We put that in A. I think might put that at the top of A. Although actually no, it's as good as those two really good two-parters. I'm gonna go ahead and say I prefer it to Hard Device at the very least.
Same, yeah.
Like I know it's not as artsy as Hard Device, but God, it's just fun, and the way it bleeds from the flashbacks into the present day. Like that's really good.
Yeah. No, that's.
Yeah, I think that looks alright.
That looks right. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Next one. It's Penguin.
So yeah, whenever I said that I thought the last one was a season finale, I thought the only Penguin episode was the one where he got hit by kids. So.
Thankfully not. No.
Yeah, no. They do have another one here. More, but this one is interesting. Penguin is he? He's reformed, like he's let go out of
Yeah, so he's left prison, and he actually earnestly wants to stay out of prison, and he wants to reform. Like no malicious like Because not going to prison's a good motivation, but no, he genuinely wants to reform. So
he he just starts basically just trying to like he kind of just comes across as like kind of sad, like he doesn't have a lot to come back to, but he
it kind of reminds me of the character from Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the character's name, but anyway, we'll see what happened to him. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, so... And then, so some lady who's just like... What is she? She's like a reporter, or...
No, she's a... I don't know what she does. She's just like she's a member of high society.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. She's a wealthy socialite. It's a social climber, basically.
Yeah. And she's just like, oh, this penguin guy. Oh, he's out, and he's trying to be all like normal and shit. That's good for a laugh, I think. Why don't we just go and pretend that we're his friends? I'm just gonna go.
I think this says something about I think this says something about Joker coming to like robbing them, one of their parties or something, because they've got quite mundane lives. Like, that was quite exciting. Let's have something like that happen again. So that was also part of this thing about befriending Penguin.
Right, yeah. So they just decide, like, she's like, oh, I'm gonna go on a date with him, and just kind of just lead him around, basically. And but he is like quite genuinely just like, that's, I actually wouldn't mind that. That's cool. I like having people appreciate me.
Yeah, he falls for it. She's like, what's the term? But she's a I've forgotten the term, but she's basically leading him on, and he's very naive.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yes, of course, people would welcome a member of high society like myself. This is when I think his Batman Returns design really helps, because if he was just kind of a short, little, dumpy guy who fancies himself as a classy gentleman, and that's his design in the new Batman Adventures. Here, I think the fact that he's kind of deformed and kind of gross, like, I think that kind of helps, honestly.
Yeah. He's like very, like, I remember he's like eating dinner, he's just like being a slob, and they kind of play up that whole aspect of him not being just full. But, and I just remember after that, they are attacked by muggers, and Penguin, of course, defends himself and gets into a fight with these guys and scares them off, and then Batman shows up and he's just like, oh, you're up to your old tricks again, huh? And I think he convinced them. He's just like, no, I'm actually, oh yeah.
Yeah, but he's not convinced at first, though. He does like swoop in, and
yeah, that's right. And then the lady,
as well.
I think the lady actually is just like, no, he saved me. Batman's just like, what? He did what? It's like really exaggerated. It's very silly. And then of course, he's at like some big party. All these fancy, rich, snooty people, and then he overhears, like, if in the other room, like, the lady he's going out with just saying like, "Oh, I can't believe he fell for it. He's such a big idiot. What a dummy who falls for stupid stuff that he is." The Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, that's the guy. He's the fool. Him right there. This guy right here. And then he's just like, shit. So he gets mad, and well, he does, villain stuff. He like kidnaps her, I think. And
they go to the opera, which they went to earlier in the episode.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And,
that's where the title card's from.
Right. I don't remember a whole lot about the actual Act 3, but it's kind of more of, the usual.
It's what you'd expect, honestly.
It's the culmination of, Penguin being basically resorting back to his old ways. So he gets in a fight with Batman after kidnapping this lady. They tussle. He winds up back at Arkham, or in jail, one of the two.
I think he's one of the few characters that typically, I might be wrong here, I think he typically goes to like Blackgate or just like the regular prison, because he's not really insane.
Yeah,
on them being obsessed with birds, I guess. But I could be wrong there. But I think generally he's depicted as not being an Arkham resident. But I might be completely wrong. There's probably going to be an episode set in Arkham, and you'll be sitting right there, and I'll be like, right, okay, that's dated the recording a bit, but
either way,
this was a solid episode.
Yeah, it's different. It's a bit fun.
It's finally a good episode. Finally, a good fucking Penguin episode.
It is. It has a little bit of a caveat though that like, yeah, it doesn't make him feel like a strong character. Like he is kind of the butt of the joke. Because that's
true, but he's already been irreparably damaged from that debut.
Right. It's certainly an improvement over that, but it does kind of solidify him as being kind of not a very strong villain, you know?
No, I get you. He's not a threat. I guess they kind of work around that though by even having this sympathetic portrayal, I suppose.
Sure, it's
that's just his character in this show. But then again, anytime he is supposed to be threatening, he just kind of isn't because he gets defeated by children, and here he's just kind of pathetic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Sympathetic, but making him sympathetic also has the drawback of just making him less intimidating when you need him to do that. So we'll see how often they try and use him for that after this, but yeah. It's still a good episode. It's a nice little story for him, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. We put that in B. It's I don't know if it's a high B, but
maybe around towards the end.
I think I was thinking there, right after Day of the Samurai.
All right. Sure,
okay. That's fine.
I've got a question for you.
What's that?
What is reality?
That is something that I don't think
we're going to do this tier list of philosophy, self-awareness. We're just going to do that instead of reviewing some silly cartoon.
Yeah.
We're going to do philosophy now.
I don't think the Riddler who can answer that question. He just seems to be a gaming loser.
Gamer.
So I can't not look directly at this screenshot of Robin in black and white. I just there is a not too short shot. Robin is just not colored. There's no explanation. Like it's not for any reason. He just
that's not in the virtual reality world. That's in reality. That's nothing to do with the VR setting.
He just isn't colored. Oh my god. So, it's like Riddler's stuff starts all over the place and starts leading Batman to be like, oh, what's all this going on? Meanwhile, there's a big box at like the police station, I think. Like they just have big box and they're just like, what the hell is this? And they eventually get it open and it's like, it's a computer. It's a big computer. Well, it has like these VR headset things. Gordon puts one on and he goes inside the virtual world and it's...
I think, if I remember, it's a small thing. I think Batman and Robin investigate it. Robin does mostly investigating, which is where that weird screenshot takes place.
Right.
And I think he encourages him to... I forget, like, does he tell Gordon to put it on? He's like, oh, try this. And it's like, he explicitly says, don't worry, it's not hooked up to anything. So it's like, it'll be safe, it's not networked to anything. But oh no, this thing has Wi-Fi, it has a Wi-Fi adapter on it, it has a wireless modem on it.
Yeah.
And Gordon, at that point, because you can see him there in the title card, he gets sucked into the Matrix or whatever.
Yeah, like they both go into it, but then Gordon is the one that gets like stuck in it. He's like, he's like, you can't take it off; it'll like ruin his brain or something. I remember, and then Batman's doing some stuff in the real world outside of that, and that's where license plate array comes in, where he just throws a license plate. But no, and then that ends up leading him back to it's like, hey, what's going on here? And it's like, well, Gordon's stuck, and oh yeah, like if you touch it, it electrocutes you. And
Of course.
it's like if off, then he'll die or something, or his brain will be ruined. It'll be no good anymore. So in order to save him, you have to go into the virtual world yourself, Batman. And then
Sounds like the real adventures of Johnny Quest. I don't think about it. Go to Quest World or whatever.
I'm not familiar, so take your word.
No, it's
It's like Reboot or something. I don't know. It's
yeah.
I did not like this episode because from here on out, it's just a lot of just virtual reality 90s stuff. Like just it's just like
it's very dated.
Yeah, just like stuff just happens. Like he ends up on a chessboard, and then he's just like, "You're the Dark Knight, like Black Knight, like a horse. So you have to walk like 2 spaces in one." And then
Yeah. So he literally has to move like a knight.
Yeah,
And he takes the appearance of an actual knight.
and then his costume changes, and then there's a big cube, and he has to like open the cube, and he starts.
And he starts duplicating himself. Yeah, he starts duplicating himself.
And he's just like, I'm just gonna duplicate myself, and Riddler's like, I'm here too. I'm just gonna duplicate myself, and then they just make.
It's like how can you concentrate on everything if you split yourself up? And then Batman's doing something on the side. He's like, don't do that. You split up your attention making these clones, so I can. While you've been fighting me here, one of my clones has been over here. I'm pretty sure this is like a technique in Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
It's also the VR segment. I appreciate them having some sort of thing to differentiate it from the real world, but I wish it wasn't this eye-searing virtual boy red.
Yeah, for some reason in the 90s, virtual reality was red. I didn't really understand that. But
I think the rationale for it is I believe the human eye can see more shades of red than any other color. So I think that might have something to do with it. I don't know.
Right, yeah,
Oh yeah, and I want to say as well before I forget, if I think of a Riddler episode, the fucking, what color I think of? It's not red. It's green. Like, think back to Batman Forever and how green that movie was. Every scene was him is green question mark. And here's a Riddler episode of the animated show, and it's all red.
Yeah,
it just should have been green. I don't know. Maybe that's
it should have
small thing, but I don't know. That annoys me.
I don't even remember. Yeah, what exactly causes it, but they get out and they find where Riddler was operating from, and he is in that like vegetative state that he warned would happen to Gordon if they took the thing off. And something happened where it like backfired on him, and
he got brain drained.
Yeah, he got brain drained, and so like that's how it ends. Is he is the succumb to the threat of that he. I did not like the episode.
It's funny how the VR. So this and I'm thinking of the Hard to Steal episode as well, because these are both technologies that have become very well realized in modern times.
Yeah.
The AI one feels more like prominent than ever. That actually's aged very well, and it's actually it's very credible. The VR shit is not. I mean, VR we have VR in our homes nowadays. But it's always like the dumbest depictions of it, and I just feel like they could never quite get it right. And I feel like anything with the VR just kind of devolves to just absolute nonsense. That you can just make up anything. It's like magic, you can just make up any bullshit. Why can Batman clone himself? I don't know. Sure, why not? It has its moments. I did like the bit where Batman, I mean, even though the setup doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's like he gets Riddler to clone himself a bunch of times, but that means he's splitting up his attention so he can get away with a sneaky tactic. I also, as dumb as it is, I kind of like the riddle of Batman being the Dark Knight, so he has to move in an L shape like a knight. It's dumb,
cute.
but it's something. It's more than a lot of the other VR stuff they just make up on the fly. It seems. But yeah, it's not great.
I don't like this being Riddler's gimmick.
No.
It feels really odd to attach that to him. It doesn't feel very. It's not very Riddle centric. It's video game stuff. Like there's no the riddles are just like. I guess there's something there because again the chess thing, but it feels very light. And most of it is like the forefront is just game stuff, and it just because it's a 90s adaptation of these very futuristic concepts, it does them pretty poorly. And
I mean, like Riddler's a character, but man, it just this gamer version of him. I can't even remember. What was his plot? Just trap Gordon Ayers' revenge? Is that it?
Sure, yeah.
Sure, why not? Okay.
You know, he got arrested at some point, so he doesn't like Gordon. Does Batman stopped him, so he doesn't like Batman, so... Ugh.
Sure. Yeah, we put that in C. It wasn't like D bad, but...
I'm actually wondering...
We're just not a fan of the way.
I just don't remember anything about this
episode. Nah, I don't know. It's not that bad.
It's gonna... I would say it goes low, regardless of if it's...
It would definitely go low. Why not? When is... I don't know. I don't remember. I think we would have put it a C for a reason. It's something at least. Why don't in the very bottom of C then?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get anything out of defending it. I didn't like it either. I'm just thinking. I can't remember it that well, and I get the feeling we'll probably put a C on it for a reason.
We were just being generous, maybe. I don't know. Different moods. I don't know. I just looking back on it, That's all I can say. Looking back on it, I just remember not liking it. I just remember everything.
So just put it in D.
Nah, it's bottom of C is fine.
I can just put it in D. I didn't like it either. You're convincing me now.
Yeah, but above nothing to fear, sure.
It's not me like being devil's advocate. Like I'm not even. I don't remember it very well, and the more we talk about it, I'm like, yeah, no, it wasn't. I don't like this version of Riddler.
There's nothing about this that I wanted more of, I guess. Like it's a lot of just not great ideas from the get-go. And the execution was whatever.
And it's dated.
Yeah.
Well, to put it in D, D's a little underpopulated anyway. I mean, like, even the Underdwellers wasn't the worst thing ever, but...
It was
that's fine.
Just bizarre premises.
Right, well, that's fine then.
Alright. I am the Knight. That's...
Oh yeah, this very serious episode.
This is the episode where he says that one monologue, I am vengeance, I am the... Wait, no, sorry. In episode 3.
Yeah, I keep thinking that actually. I see that and I'm like, oh yeah, the famous. Oh wait, no, it's not.
So, this title card, boy, what is going on here? Well, it's Gordon again.
Yeah, sure is.
But this one, oh my god, there's a lot of notes here. This is a weird one. This is the anniversary of Batman's parents' deaths. So he is in a fucking mood, and this episode is really, melodramatic.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time being just like kind of monologuing, being upset about his parents and just his legacy. Like this shot I got here, there's like a shop selling Batman merch. He's like, they sell T-shirts of me. I've become a cliche. Like, it's just dark, and it's. I feel like
it's very self-pitying. Okay, so the premise of this episode, like the main, not necessarily the plot, but the main draw of this, Gordon, almost gets killed, and Batman didn't show up on time because he was. It's just the annual passing of his parents. So, out of respect, he always leaves a flower in Crime Alley So he missed this appointment to. I keep thinking it's Appointment in Crime Alley, but that's a different episode. With Leslie. He missed this thing against the Jazz Man. We'll come back to him. Gordon almost dies. I think it's put in a coma, I believe.
Yeah.
And then he just goes on to this like really self-pitying spiral where he's just like, oh, I'm so useless. Why do I even do this? And then Alfred's trying to talk him out of it. Robin's trying to talk him out of it, and it's just like, it doesn't feel earned.
Yeah.
I remember the big problem with this episode is that it takes place in. It feels like it should have been a two-parter to flush out Batman's character arc a bit more, because it just feels very sudden that he suddenly. If you lead up to it a bit more, maybe you could have done this self-doubt plot line. Let's say if there's just a bit more lead up to it, if we see Batman screwing up repeatedly, or I mean, obviously it's not going to happen in this show because it's like episodic. But if Gordon actually did die, or someone close to Batman actually did die, I know they wouldn't do that here, but it'd be a lot more meaningful. But in this, it's just like, okay, so you're not an official deputy of the law. Like, no one's making you do this. They're lucky to have you. I think like Alfred and Robin say as much. They're lucky to have you at all. And he just moans on and on. It's like whiny Batman. What did? And then I can't even. How does it end? He just.
I just want to say, like, because we wrote down Batman reacts as if Gordon died. Like he oversells this whole thing. He really does treat it like this is all my fault. Like he's dead because of me, and it's like he's not dead. Like not that they said that, but that's the way he's acting. It's very
exactly.
He's exaggerating it so hard, and it's just and like there's a bit where Bullock is like, it's like, this is your fault. Like what? It's just like, motherfucker, it's your job. It's not his. Like
that's what gets me. It doesn't feel earned.
It feels like everybody, including Batman, is blaming him for the police doing their own job and getting injured on the job. It's so strange.
I guess I will say one bit of its defense. Gordon is his friend.
Yeah.
That's a small thing. So it's not just like I failed the police. It's like I failed a friend specifically. But
sure.
Yeah. It's not his job.
But like, yeah, and then I think that's what a lot of people say to him. Basically, just like Robin and Barbara are just like this. That's just going to happen, Like that's a risk of the job. That's what he wants to do. If this is not up to you, man.
Yeah.
And it involves them trying to take down the Jazz Man.
The Jazz Man.
He's barely a villain. Like he's barely a character. He's just a guy that apparently is jazz themed, I think.
So Jazzman annoys me because he skirts the line between. So in this show, you've got two types of villains. You've got your normal criminals, and sometimes they give them a bit of character, but they're generally your Thorns and your Daggerts. And then you got your outlandish themed supervillains, Joker, Penguin, whatever. Jazzman is like he's the former, but he aspires to be the latter because he's like music themed. He just looks like a guy, but he keeps using not even specifically like jazz references, like just music in general. He keeps referencing like I can't even remember. It's just a load of really dumb musical puns. Not like Schwarzenegger, like obvious, but
yeah, I don't remember it being that obvious. Honestly, I just remember it like that was the one thing that made the name make sense. Was just that he occasionally used like
it's a common enough to be annoying, but not enough to actually be a proper theme. It's just distracting. It just kind of took me out. He looks and talks like a normal guy, but he keeps making these dumb puns.
I think the problem is that he's just not in much of the episode at all. Like it's centered around stopping him, but it's not about him because he's not in it. Like
no.
He's just occasionally shows up to be like, oh, that's what we're here to stop. Yeah, and did we even? I don't even. Yeah, I have no notes about how it actually ended. I don't know anything other than it just. uh, he gets the guy and he starts feeling better. I guess.
Yeah, spoiler, he doesn't actually die. Wow, who would have guessed?
Yeah. It's like Gordon makes a recovery. Cool. I'm just.
But that being said, this is one of those ones where we've just been like really negative throughout. But we put a B, so apparently it wasn't that bad. I don't remember it being bad. It just doesn't really feel. I like Batman going through a character crisis. The issue is that it just doesn't really feel that earned. Like, you could have that story, and it's a good idea for a story, but it doesn't feel earned here. Like, he's beaten himself up over not much. It's possible to do this, but not like this.
It's a decent idea, wonky execution. It feels like they leaned way too hard in making him like emo. Like, he is genuinely like just overselling this, and like that's kind of where we're coming from. Is just while watching it, we're just like, God, calm down, dude. Like, you're Batman, man. Like,
you're relax. A billionaire, for God's sake.
Yeah.
That's not that bad, is it? It doesn't feel earned. It's just calm down.
But like the idea is fine. Like, I don't dislike any of those concepts. It hammered it way too hard. So I think the B is justified, because it wasn't bad, but it was strange. It felt really strange watching that. Just like, God, he is so emotional. Like, it was just.
I can't help but Yeah. No, I was just thinking. I can't help but compare that to Appointment in Crime Alley.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe because Leslie's also in it, but also the title. I don't know. I feel like you could swap this titles around, and it would still make sense.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of. Is that better or worse than Appointment in Crime Alley? Because we said B. So.
I'm gonna say worse. I remember Appointment in Crime Alley being a better execution of their idea.
Sure.
I just want to make because we have a lot of silly notes here, and I'm not going to explain them on purpose. But I did want to point out Batman heroically poses while cops die. Like, there's this weird shot where like a helicopter goes down, like a police helicopter is crashing, and then in front of the explosion of that copter, Batman like jumps on top of something and poses, and then like plays like the dynamic music. It's like, oh, he's here, but it's like, did the cops just die? And you're just
the cops just died. Do.
Very weird shot. And,
he didn't. Maybe that's why he was tearing himself apart. He was just like, I let these people. Not only did I let them die, I posed afterwards. I used the explosion to pose, make it look cool, and then I commissioned T-shirts of me posing in front of the exploding helicopter. I feel so bad. I don't know why I did that.
Just weird episode.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of kind of, well, it's not really that weird, but let's talk about Off Balance.
Off Balance. You want to handle this one?
Yeah, sure. So there's a guy voiced by Michael York, who has. What's he doing? He's like stealing stuff? It's not enough synopsis.
No,
Count Vertigo. He's just doing shit. Like, he's being very rude or something. I don't know.
It starts out with I'm looking in the notes here. It starts out with a fight with these two like mooks on the statue of Gotham.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's coming back to me now. Yeah.
And
so there's these. Yeah, you go ahead then.
So there's these. I don't know. He fights these two guys, and they're like completely covered up, and they got masks on. They look like diving masks, and you're just like, what are they? What are these? And Batman goes to interrogate them once he's got them like, stopped basically. And then they hit a thing, and then like their masks fill up with gas, and gas starts leaking out. And
they bite down on like a suicide capsule or something.
Yeah, they just kill themselves with gas.
Gas again, suicide gas.
But it's
Write it down.
Suicide gas. And I was just thrown off by that. Because that was such a weird way to start an episode. It's just these guys off themselves to prevent them from giving info to Batman, but they don't explicitly say they're dead or anything. It's just sort of like, oh, they're out, and then they just kind of gloss over it. It's like, okay.
There's a Batman Beyond episode where there's an assassin, and she throws a capsule at people, and it's very similar to this. There's like this gas that comes out, and it basically, what they say is it wipes their mind, so it basically turns them into a vegetable. I think it's like so in that show, it's very much like they're dead, but they're not dead, but they're pretty much dead. I mean, in some ways, like worse than death.
Yeah.
But the suicide capsules in this reminded me of that, but they don't acknowledge it. They don't just say, "Oh, their mind's been wiped" or something. It's just like, for all intents and purposes, they're dead. They just don't. I guess they got around that by not acknowledging it. Like something happened to them.
Yeah.
It's like, there's something to the senses. Like, did those people just commit suicide on screen? Like, no. I said we didn't say they did. We didn't say they didn't. We're just not acknowledging it. They just certainly did something, though. Doesn't count if we don't literally say. So yeah, I don't know. I guess that's how they got around that. Crazy stuff where kids got to.
Very weird. And then I don't know. That's somehow.
I mean, it's kind of a cool trope. I do like that. It's like really shows you committed to whatever group you're doing if you're willing to do that. But didn't expect that in Batman. No, Batman.
I was so thrown off by that.
Yeah.
Just asleep. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So
just dub it in like the sensitive. I'm having a nap now. Oh.
Quick, activate the sleeping gas on us. He can't take our information if we're asleep.
Operation nap time. Okay, let's go on.
Right. So yeah, there's Mr. Hypnotize. Yeah, there's the guy named Vertigo, who has like an eye patch that swirls and it makes people like their brains go like, I can't parse what's going on. It gives me a major
it makes
headache.
you dizzy.
Yeah,
it makes you dizzy. Makes you lose your balance. Hence the episode title.
Yeah. It just
Vertigo.
It just disorients you like crazy. And God, what is it like? Because at some point,
he goes to confront her. He turns out to be a member of the Society of Shadows. He follows this mysterious woman who appears to be an ally, and then Batman gets knocked out. She helps him recover. She takes his mask off. She doesn't really seem to care, almost as if she already knows who he is. And then that's Talia al Ghul. So this episode kind of starts the Raish kind of subplot, the Raish character who gets a cameo at the end. This is the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, and it turns out that Count Vertigo is basically a traitor to the Society of Shadows, and they're having some infighting. So she's there to take him out on behalf of her father. And Batman's just kind of caught in the middle of this, kind of. But obviously it's obviously his prerogative to take down Count Vertigo. But he can't entirely trust Talia, and rightfully so, because it's pretty typical what happens in between. Batman realizes in order to counteract the effects of the Vertigo whatever is to just close your eyes. So he actually guides Talia through a room with his eyes shut, circumventing a bunch of traps and stuff. And then once Vertigo's defeated, it kind of ends with it's a typical action set piece, but then she betrays him, so you get a sense for her character. And that's when you realize that she's not exactly a good person, and we get our first look at David Warner's Ra's al Ghul, but Batman's thinking ahead, and he's actually managed to, what was it, the machine? They had a machine or something?
Right, yeah.
and he did something. Oh, he sabotaged it. So as soon as they tried using it, it self-destructed.
That's right.
What did it do again? I can't remember. Was it like a laser or something? These starting to blur together. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it was just what his power was, but like magnified. Like it just made everything in a big area disoriented. Like,
was it?
I think, because I don't think his power is what's causing them to be like having to go through like this entire like facility that they're in. I couldn't even tell you, to be honest. I don't remember. I just remember no, because you're right. They had like stuff set up around the place. I don't remember what the Sheen did, but it doesn't matter.
It was a drill. Okay. So I'm just double checking. It's a drill.
It's a drill. Okay, never mind. What am I talking about?
It was a no. I was I kind of went with you there because you think it'd be something associated with his power, but no, it was a ultrasonic drill. Yeah, and I remember because they used it as a weapon, if I remember correctly. So they can't get their hands on it, and that's what he was trying to steal at the start. Just remind us why he was even going after Vertigo. Vertigo was stealing this ultrasonic drill from Wayne Tech.
So it's kind
of that's
related,
what
like
kicks all this off. Yeah.
Disorienting. Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But that's
These synopses do not go into as much detail as I'd like, because that's a good one.
Yeah, that's another one that's just sort of like, I don't have a lot to say about it other than it's kind of what you would expect, but decent. Not a
and it's a nice introduction to Rage. It's nice that they set that up, but it kind of somewhat similar to Two-Face. You're getting the character in before you go all in on the character. It's like a soft introduction, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I think Vertigo's design is a little out there. It kind of reminds me of like the Sewer King. It's just a little over the top. I don't know. There's just something about it that I find it a little hard to take seriously. But Michael York's voice is pretty good. So yeah, it's a pretty good episode. We put that in B.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in B? I feel like that's right in the middle. It wasn't that impressive, but
yeah. I can't even find it. Where did you put it?
I haven't put it anywhere yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was looking away because I was, for whatever reason, I wanted to double check to make sure they actually aired these in the right order.
Yeah.
I was like, that would have been really funny if they aired the Rage story before they introduced him.
Oh, right. I wouldn't put it past them. No.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just gonna go through these. Like, I prefer the Joker one. I prefer the Two-Face one. I think I prefer Day of the Samurai, honestly.
Yeah.
Birds of a Feather, I think I prefer. Peter Clay Part 1.
I think that's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Hold on. Someone killed Batman?
Apparently so, yeah. And this is him.
Oh man, look at this guy. Yeah,
those evil eyes.
Yeah, he's the eyes of a killer. Sid the Squid. This ruthless, just... So, the episode starts out with the guy, he's like running in the rain or whatever, and then he's in a hurry to get somewhere, and it turns out it's Thorn? Yeah. He enters the place where he's like going to Thorn. He's like, hey, I need some help. I got this problem. Everyone thinks I killed Batman. Or everyone knows that I killed Batman, because I absolutely did.
I don't even think he's that confident either. Well, he thinks he does, yeah.
No,
he doesn't like brag about it, but he's
No,
like, yeah,
no.
I killed Batman.
Well, so yeah, he's like, he's this wormy little guy who seems like he's not the kind of guy you expect to say that he did that, but he's just like, everyone knows that I killed Batman, and it's really not helping me. So he's like, all right, explain to me what's going on. So they go into a flashback where, from his perspective, and he's just, again, just a wormy little guy. He's just like, I'm gonna be a brilliant criminal. Because he's
King
like,
of the criminals.
yeah, he's like, I'm gonna be in there. He's got these like other henchmen there, and it's like, oh, call you Sid the Squid. Oh, that's real intimidating. They're just kind of having a little banter.
Yeah, he's just like this idiot, just like he's kind of likable, but yeah.
Sid, I need you to go up to that rooftop and just give us a signal if you see Batman or something.
Yeah,
just be a lookout. And so he's up on the roof, and then Batman ends up confronting him, and through a series of sort of accidents. Like he gets he's getting like knocked around and like bumping into Batman, and then he falls into it's like
he gets there's some explosive barrels or like gas canisters or something.
He's like a big tank.
He gets
and he falls over into it, and then an explosion happens, and he thinks like, holy shit, I killed Batman. And he's kind of like, I don't remember how he feels about it exactly, but he's, everyone praised him for it, so he's kind of like,
he's a little shocked, but he's like, he's wanting to go a lot. When he realizes the reputation it's given him, he's happy.
Yeah, so they flash forward a little bit, and he's, hanging out with people. He's like at the head of the table, and everyone's like, oh, it's Sid, yeah, Sid the Squid. And he's pretty cool about that. And then another guy walks up to him, and he's just like, you killed Batman, you don't look like that tough. I could fucking take you.
I could beat your ass, yeah.
And so,
which is pretty realistic, honestly. I imagine that's how that would go down.
Yeah, and of course, again, he's just he's a dork, so he's not gonna be able to do shit. So, what was it? Okay, yeah, so he ends up, they all get busted, and they end up in jail. But then a lady shows up and is like, hey, that Sid guy, I'm gonna need him. He's coming with us. And then she makes a dick joke. That was weird. And so he gets in the car with her, and he's just like, by the way, who are you? And she's like, I am Harley Quinn. We're gonna go meet the Joker. And he's like, well, fuck. So,
oh dear.
So the Joker happy with him because he kind of needs his foil. He's just like, what am I gonna do? And it's like, if you kind of fun. So,
without Batman, crime has no punchline.
Yeah. It's like, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put you in a coffin and dump you into the chemical acid that makes you into Joker.
I mean, I don't know. The way you phrase that, it's like he's going to turn him into Joker. I think you're just trying to kill him.
No, it's
yeah.
Like,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's just the way you phrased it.
Yeah, it's intended to kill him, but it is. They always do this stuff with the acid.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
And he ends up he gets dumped in, and then suddenly the coffin opens up and he's outside, and it's like, oh, I guess it just went out the exhaust, not the exhaust.
Refuge.
It gets dumped out.
Refuge or whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the drain.
Yeah, it gets drained out, and he's at the shore. He's like, oh, I guess I got lucky again. He's like eternally lucky or unlucky at the same time. And I think that's where it goes back to
It leads into the framing device of him speaking to Thorn. He's like, well, I don't really know what to do now. And Thorn's response is just like, that's a load of shit. Like, oh, that's a great story. What a load of nonsense. And I don't believe for a second, any of that. And then he says, "You're trying to muscle in on my drug racket." So he's about to kill him, and then who shows up? It's Batman. What do you know? He didn't die. I couldn't believe it either. I really thought they were going to kill him off, like, towards the end of this Batman the Animated Series.
I thought the next
Batman
14
stopped. There's a really...
We're just going to be wrong.
Yeah. There's a really cool shot of where Batman throws a batarang into the barrel of Thorne's gun, and then there's this focus pull. I forget which way around it was. It was like from the gun to Sydney looking at it. It's over in like a moment, but it's a really cool shot.
Yeah.
Would require quite a bit of effort. And then Batman. It's one of the few times where Thorne just kind of gets manhandled by Batman. He doesn't get physical that very often. He's usually above that, but one of the few times, yeah, Batman sorts him out personally. And then basically he says to him, Batman says, I kind of faked my death, just so I can keep an eye on things or get closer to Thorne or investigate his drug racket. And then he's just like, oh, well, I'm glad and Sydney's like, oh, I'm glad I could help. And he's just like, well, no, you're still a criminal. However, there is a place where you can go where someone with your reputation would be well respected. And then cuts to him going to prison. I guess Blackgate, I'm assuming. And everyone's just kind of cheering for him. And he's like, he's the guy who almost killed Batman. He's the guy who managed to make a fool of the Joker and escape. So he just has this big grin on his face, and that's how the episode closes. It's a really good one.
Yeah, just a really fun episode. Just
reminds me a lot of Joker's Favor.
Yeah,
just kind of this schlubby. I want to quickly acknowledge this as Matt Fuhrer, aka Max Headroom, doing the voice of Sydney.
Right.
Which is something I didn't notice until I looked it up, and then it was just very obvious.
The hyenas. That's another thing that is apparently a characters.
Yeah, they'll show up a bit for sure. Yeah, that's a reoccurring thing.
I just wanted to point.
I mean, hell, they were Harley's super in Injustice 2.
Yeah, I do remember that. So yeah, this is another introduction there, and I don't know, just a fun episode. Just had a lot of fun with that one.
Joker's best when he's viewed through the eyes of a normal person. It's only then you realise just how intimidating and scary he is. It's just this. Batman can deal with his unpredictability. A normal person can't. So if someone to be in that situation like Joker's Favor, he's quite scary there because you don't know what he's gonna do next.
Yeah.
So
they do a lot of good episodes where it's from the perspective of just someone watching them, like someone who lives in that city, who has to deal with these things happening around them and to them. It's a very interesting concept, and they executed pretty well a couple of times.
I like the note. Sydney die.
Sydney die. I think I wrote that down like 5 times over the course of like 10 episodes. Just someone die. Everyone keeps.
The problem is we mix shit posts with like what are supposed to be constructive notes, so sometimes it gets a little confusing, especially when we go further and further away from when we watch these.
Yeah.
Like Sydney Batman die? Oh no.
Batman dies, Sydney die. Joker quits, which is a reference to the What I Am the Night, where it's like Batman quits. Like everyone's just quitting too. Everyone's a quitter. Oh, and Penguin also quits. But anyway,
yeah, sure. Cool. We put that in A.
Put an A.
Absolutely.
That's a high up one. Goes near almost.
Really, yeah. Is it? These two kind of like artsy, quite serious episodes. Are better or worse than those? Maybe not quite as good.
Sure. Yeah.
Is it better? I think it's quite similar to Joker's Wild. Would it be better or worse than that?
I think better.
Honestly, you still got some Joker action in that as well.
Yeah. It's a little more,
Sure.
On top of some other fun stuff.
Gotcha.
All right.